So one of the biggest things with mediation, and this is always what I tell people, is that mediation is a safe place. And it's a safe place to discuss your concerns. It's a safe place to discuss what you have and why you think a judge might rule for you. And why it's a safe place is because it's confidential, meaning that whatever you say in mediation stays in mediation. Whatever evidence you show to the other side can't really be used against you unless they use another vehicle to get it, which is going to be the subject of another show, because we could talk for hours about that. But anything you learn in mediation should remain confidential. And there's confidentiality rules, and that's part of the opening that you give before every mediation, right?
Right. So my job, again, as I've already explained, is to empower the parties. But, I look at mediation as a controlled burn. Because, in order to rebuild, like I said, we're not just tearing things apart, we're restructuring. And in order to restructure, a lot of times we just have to burn down the old so we can cultivate and replant something new, and it grows and it's successful. But in order to have a controlled burn, you've got to have trust. And generally when the parties come in, they don't have trust. They don't even have zero trust. They have sub-zero trust. And by having confidentiality in place, it helps get them to a place of being able to open up and start rebuilding trust with a secure security like an attorney, with a facilitator like a mediator, where it's not that they're just two people on their own trying to then reestablish trust. You're holding their hand. I'm helping guide everybody. And so you're doing that. But you've got to have that confidentiality. And so, in my opening, we talk about everything that we talk about in mediation is private and confidential. But what a lot of people fail to realize is it's not just in mediation. It's even after mediation. You're not supposed to go home and tell your mother, your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your coworker about what happened in mediation.
And
it's
your
private
kids, folks.
And
your
definitely
kids.
your kids.
Do not tell the kids that you're talking about in mediation what happened at mediation, after mediation. Besides breaching confidentiality, this just breaks the don't be a jerk rule. Remember we spoke a little bit about that? Don't talk to your kids about what we talk about. It's not cool.
The only time I recommend that, and there's only one time ever, is if the parties do come to an agreement and they've got children that and it's totally age appropriate. It's, and there really isn't a number. You can't say 8 because I know some really immature 8-year-olds.
Right.
You can't say 12. I mean, so really it's up to the parents. But what I encourage parents to do is when they create a time sharing plan is to go to a neutral place, go to a restaurant, go somewhere neutral, and actually sit the children down and say, we, as a united front, because this goes to what you were saying in your other show about parental alienation.
Right.
We as a united front have come up with this agreement. It's not your mother's agreement, and Mom, it's not your father's agreement. This is our agreement. And so by putting everybody on the same page, that helps keep the kids from playing the parents and becoming manipulative just to survive the situation. That's the only time I would ever recommend talking to the children about a mediation agreement is to just say, this is how we're going to structure our family. This is when you're going to stay with your mom. This is when you're going to stay with your dad. And this is what we think is the best, so that it shows a united front.
Right.
But I mean, confidentiality is so important that and I tell people, do not bring anybody to mediation. They're not coming into mediation.
That's a hard and fast rule that I have.
Yeah,
is that I don't allow third parties in mediations ever, unless there's really crazy circumstances of why they should be, unless you need like a translator. That's
possibly.
A different story.
But yeah, I mean, definitely don't bring anybody, because you can't leave mediation and go out to the waiting room and talk to them because it's private and confidential. I mean, I keep running into this where people are either texting, calling, taking pictures, and sending them in mediation. And I actually found online the other day, Grant, that for $79.99 you can get a cell phone jammer. And I'm like, I should have one in my bag for mediation.
That's a great idea.
Just to block all communication, because it's not good when you are breaching those rules of confidentiality, because things can explode. Or I mean, I'll give you an example. I've had it where a party was texting somebody that wasn't part of the mediation, and they were texting the other party threatening them.
See, that's
well,
that's
the
worse.
whole thing just fell apart. We
Sure.
had to stop mediation, and that's not a service to the children who become the collateral damage here because as you said, the parties didn't follow that hard and straight rule of don't be a jerk.
Right. Don't be a jerk. It's funny because I actually had a client. I was representing the wife, and the husband was represented by another attorney. And the other attorney, confided in me after the mediation, and we did settle the case. But he was actually texting his mother. Hey, this is what they're offering. Should I take this deal?
Right.
Why are you asking your mother? You have a family law attorney that you're paying hourly.
That is exactly what I said.
Why would you do that?
That's exactly what I said because this one was texting her sister, and I said, "What is your attorney sitting here for?" And what was really sad, Grant, was she actually said, and we're like, "Look, if you guys don't settle, then that's going to be evidence that's coming in to court." And the attorney's like, yeah, and I don't have a legal argument for you. And so the client said right to her, well, then I guess I'll get a new attorney for that. Really?
If I find out that somebody's texting somebody about the mediation, I promise you if we don't settle the case at mediation before that client even leaves the office, I'm writing a subpoena.
Yeah.
And I'm sending a subpoena to that person, and I'm getting everything that they said in the mediation, especially when they call me not so nice names. That's like the first thing I put on as evidence to the judge. It's like, look, judge, just to give you an idea of what this person's all about. Anyway, we're not going to talk about trial tactics today, but if you're just catching the end of the show here, this is Grant Gisondo, the family man. I'm with Matt Brickman, the owner of iMediateInc.com. That's iMediateInc.com. We're talking all about mediations today. And if you're interested in hiring Matt to maybe talk to about setting up a mediation, or you want to hear a little bit more about his qualifications, or ask him a question with something that you're hearing on today's show, how would people get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is email.
Email? Okay, what's your email?
Email and text message. Those are the two fastest. So my email is mbrickman@ichatmediation.com. And or you can text me on my cell phone, 561-262-9121.
Great.
For more information about having your mediation conducted by iMediate, check us out online at iMediateInc.com. Email me at mbrickman@ichatmediation.com or call me toll-free at 877-822-1479 or direct at 561-262-9121. And I look forward to speaking with you and scheduling your mediation very soon.